Hi, this is Daryl Meyer from Keller, Texas. Today is Thursday, November 4th, 2010. Let me first start off by saying happy birthday to my mother. I love you. God bless you. Hope you have many more. And anyway, a few days ago I brought you a report saying that Obama was going to force Israel into some issues as soon as the midterm elections are over. Well, here we are already, and look what's going on. This first story out of worldtribune.com. The report says Obama's post-election agenda calls for a Palestinian state or else. With the midterm elections over, President Barack Obama is expected to resume heavy pressure on Israel, this report says. The Center for Security Policy asserted that Obama would threaten U.S. relations with Israel after the Democrat Party's loss in congressional elections on November 2nd. The Washington-based institute said Obama would press for the establishment of a Palestinian state over Israel's objections. Once the 2010 elections are behind him, it is a safe bet that President Obama will revert to form by once again exhibiting an unmistakable and ruthless determination to bend Israel to his will. The report, authored by Frank Gaffney, said. Gaffney, a former Defense Department official, said Obama plans to increase pressure on Israel to unprecedented levels after his party's historic defeat in congressional elections. He said the president had eased pressure on Israel in response to Democrat candidates who feared a Jewish backlash. Unfortunately, what the president has in mind for Israel after the election will make his previous treatment of the Jewish state look like the good old days, the report titled Obama's Not-So-Hidden Agenda said on October 26th. The report echoed previous assessments by the Israeli government and intelligence community of a crisis with the United States in the aftermath of the U.S. elections. The Israeli assessment envisioned that Obama would accelerate efforts to establish a Palestinian state in the West Bank regardless of Israeli concerns. Worse yet, he will be able to take advantage of a vehicle for effecting the so-called two-state solution no matter how strenuously Israel and its friends in Washington object, the report said. The Palestinians will simply unilaterally declare themselves a state and ask for international recognition, and Mr. Obama will accede to that request. During the spring of 2010, U.S.-Israel relations were said to have dropped to one of their lowest points in more than 50 years. Gaffney said Obama vilified Israel and forced it into territorial, political, and other concessions to the Arabs. To be sure, ties between the United States and Israel, far and away America's most important and loyal friend in the Middle East, have improved lately from the nadir to which Mr. Obama plunged them since he took office, the report said. That has nothing to do, however, with a change of heart or agenda on the part of the president and his administration. Okay, so he goes on to say the truth is that either way, Mr. Obama will have dealt Israel a potentially mortal blow, the report said. Without control of the high ground and water aquifers of the West Bank, the Jewish state is simply indefensible and unsustainable. Great. The report said Obama could also agree to deploy U.S. forces in the West Bank in wake of a declaration of Palestinian independence. Gaffney warned that international forces, including Americans, would soon protect Israel's enemies, in a policy similar to that of the UN peacekeeping mission in Lebanon. The same is certain to eventuate in the West Bank as paramilitary forces the United States has foolishly trained and equipped become a standing army and fall under the sway of Hamas, the report said. So great, here we are. It's already starting. Okay, Obama got his butt handed to him in the elections a couple of days ago, and now he's going to go back after Israel and force them into this peace agreement and give away God's land. And if you read the Bible, you know what it says that God will do to those who give away God's land. Not good. I pray that God doesn't hold it against all of us, the actions that our leaders take regarding Israel. Okay, here's a story out of Depka.com. The first U.S. targeted assassination in Gaza preempts next Al-Qaeda offensive. This came out today. A missile fired from an American warship in the Mediterranean hit the car in which Mohammed Jamal Al-Namnam, 27, was driving in the heart of Gaza City yesterday, November 3rd, and killed him. Depka Files exclusive counter-terror sources report. Namnam was an operational commander of the Army of Islam. Oh, those peaceful people. Yeah. Al-Qaeda's Palestinian cell in the Gaza Strip. He was on a mission on behalf of Al-Qaeda in the Arabian Peninsula, AQAP, to plan, organize, and execute the next wave of terror attacks on U.S. targets after last week's air package bomb plot. According to their sources, the Palestinian cell members were planning to infiltrate northern Sinai from the Gaza Strip over the coming weekend and strike American personnel serving with the Multinational Force and Observers Organization, the MFO, which is under American command and is stationed at North Camp El Gora, 37 kilometers southeast of El Arish. Okay, so they were planning strikes this Sunday and Monday, so they took him out. Wonder if those strikes will still continue. I guess that remains to be seen. We'll find out next week. Here's something I told you about a few days ago, that UNESCO had come out and said that Rachel's tomb was now a Muslim mosque, much to the furious response of Netanyahu. He said, how can you even claim that this 4,000-year-old tomb of our ancestors is not part of our national heritage? Well, here's what happened today. This story out of Arutz Sheva. It says, hang on one second. It says, Israel suspends its cooperation with UNESCO. Israel announced yesterday, on Wednesday, that it will be suspending its cooperation with the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, due to its decision to declare Rachel's tomb a mosque. The suspension will be in place until the organization reverses its decision. Way to stand up for what you believe in. Says Deputy Foreign Minister Danny Ayalon, who made the announcement regarding this suspension, said of the resolution by UNESCO, this resolution was adopted by the Arab automatic majority led by the Palestinian Authority in another attempt to delegitimize Israel. UNESCO has become a rubber stamp for the PA, the Palestinian Authority. UNESCO's recent vote called for Rachel's tomb and the tomb of the patriarchs, the burial site of the other biblical patriarchs and matriarchs, to be removed from Israel's National Heritage List. How insane is that? The Palestinian Authority has claimed that Rachel's tomb is holy to Muslims as the site of a mosque called the Bilal bin Rabah Mosque. It demands control over both the tomb and the tomb of the patriarchs in Hebron, as well as the Temple Mount in Jerusalem. You know, this is ridiculous. This is simply ridiculous. Jesus told us this would happen, and I swear I sit here and watch it happen, and it still just makes my blood boil. I just can't get over how infuriating this would be for the Israelis and the Jewish people, for them to suddenly call the ancestors of the Jewish people a Muslim mosque. Their burial tomb is now a Muslim mosque. Father, help us. Here's something out of Israel today. Netanyahu says Palestinians have made us cynical about the peace process. In an address to Israel's Knesset on Wednesday, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said that the Palestinian behavior was making Israelis cynical about the prospects of peace, and urged his fellow lawmakers to wake up to the fact that Israel simply does not have a viable peace partner. They don't want peace. They want Israel to be wiped out. They want the complete destruction of Israel. They don't want peace at all. That's their disguise. That's how they're making this look. You know, the Palestinians found out they couldn't overturn Israel militarily. Okay? They weren't strong enough. Israel whooped them. Okay? They're going to whoop them again, too, because God's on their side. They couldn't overtake them economically. So now they're trying to take them diplomatically and legally. Okay? But we'll just see how that goes. Netanyahu was forced to appear before the Knesset after 40 opposition and left-wing coalition lawmakers signed a petition demanding he answer for his government's peace process policies. It's a tongue twister. Anyway, Netanyahu goes on to say that the Palestinians don't want peace. You know, we have showed a genuine desire to see progress. The Palestinian Authority has not, noting as an example the ongoing incitement against Israel in the official Palestinian media, even as the talks were taking place. So, who knows what's going to happen? I don't think this peace process is going to go much further, and I don't see how it can. Neither side is agreeing to what the other side is saying. Netanyahu's never going to give up any part of Jerusalem. Never. He won't do it. The Palestinians think that they have the right to claim Jerusalem as their capital, even though it's never been a Palestinian capital ever in human history or history of this planet. Jerusalem has never been a capital for anyone else than the Jews. Okay. Here's something out of haaretz.com that says Abbas, who is the leader of the Palestinians, accuses Iran of trying to sabotage Mideast peace. In an interview with a Kuwait paper, Palestinian leader also says he may ask the U.S. to help draft framework agreement for permanent settlement if peace talks stay stalled. Okay, Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas today accused Iran of trying to use Islamist elements to sabotage the Middle East peace process, according to media reports. It's kind of funny. They're both Islamists. Palestinian leader also told a Kuwaiti newspaper during his visit there that peace negotiations could not continue with Israel as long as construction continued in West Bank settlements. Okay, well, to that I just have to say, hey, I'm sorry. I think the Jews are allowed to build on their land. It is their land. And we're going to see some wars happen. Here's something caught my eye. A game-changing weapon. The Russian company concern Morinformsystem-Agat is marketing a deadly new weapon, one that can allow a rogue state to overcome the technological superiority of Western militaries. The system can even be used to carry out devastating attacks on the U.S. homeland with little means of defense. Basically, these things are put in cargo containers, and there's no time to react when these things are set off. They can launch rockets. They can blow up on demand. And clearly they were to target United States, and a little tricky. Here's something out of TBD.com. A Maryland man has received the maximum sentence permitted by law for sending a threatening email to an Illinois mosque. 25-year-old Ilya Sobolevsky was sentenced Wednesday to 12 months in prison and a $3,000 fine. He sent an email which he said he would do whatever it takes to eradicate Islam. A year in prison, $3,000 fine. Boom. What happened to freedom of speech? Don't know. Okay, I've been talking about the cross. I'm going to continue because it's the basis of my faith. John 19:33 says, when they came to Jesus and saw that he was already dead, they did not break his legs. Okay, now, at the risk of seeming somewhat redundant, it's important for us to understand that the cross was the place where Jesus literally and physically died. Why is that such an important point to take note of? Well, because it was through dying that Jesus experienced the full range of human experiences, and by doing so, he became fully relatable by us. So think about it. If Jesus had simply suffered but didn't die, then we would be left with something that we couldn't completely identify with. There would always be that lingering, yeah, but Jesus never went all the way to death in our minds. His relatability as the Son of Man, as our perfect representative, would have fallen short. But Christ didn't bail out. He didn't get to the threshold of death and say, well, that's far enough for me, I've done my job. Instead, he endured the experience of death, and in the process, he became a perfect high priest who can completely empathize with us as human beings. That's in Hebrews 4:15. So, we have a perfect high priest, Jesus Christ, who overcame death, he overcame this world, he overcame sin. And he has said, I am in you, and you are in me, and I am in the Father. So, since Jesus has overcome this world, he's overcome sin, and he's overcome death, by me believing upon him and accepting him as my Savior, I have already overcome those things as well. And so can you. You know, what happened on the cross is the reason for my faith. Jesus rose from the dead just like he said he would, and he's coming back again. Are you ready for that? God bless you. Good Lord willing, I hope to see you again tomorrow.